Hey there, Lancaster educators. Avra here with Cami. So I know that many of you are new to Cami and just kind of starting to figure out what this tool can do. And my colleague Steve has been your guide so far. Steve has been facilitating sessions for coaches and different educators, trying to help folks figure out what Cami can do, and better yet, how can it support all of our learners in the classroom? How can you as teachers design learning environments that meet the needs of all of your learners? Recently, Steve facilitated a session that unfortunately, due to technical difficulties, wasn't recorded. And so Steve and I chatted and we decided to try to put together some video clips to share some ideas and concepts that were explored that day. And we want you to know that as you watch these video clips, if you have any questions, you can reach out to us at any time. So not only is Cami a great tool for teaching and learning, but it's also a company that hired a group of teachers, many of us with advanced degrees and lots of experience in the classroom. I'm a veteran educator. I've been teaching since 1996. I was a technology coordinator, I was a technology coach, and I was also a third grade teacher at one point. So many of us have a lot of experience and we really know what it's like to be in the classroom. And we can do whatever it takes to help you be successful with this tool. So what does that look like practicality wise, right? It means that we can meet with a faculty. We can meet with a group of chemistry teachers. We can get together with a grade level. It doesn't matter, small groups, large groups, individuals. It's literally our job and our pleasure to help support you as you use Cami in the classroom. So let's get started taking a look at some practical things that we can do with Cami to support student learning. Let's take this note-taking mechanism as an example of ways that we can explore the different possibilities in Cami. So we've got a Cornell Notes basic structure here, but if you'll notice on the right-hand side, as the teacher is creating opportunities for students to engage with the content, he has offered 3 different options. You'll notice it says here, your choice, watch, listen, or read. So in Cami, utilizing our comments tool, teachers can create a comment with a YouTube video. They can also create a comment with a link. This is a Google Drive link to a podcast that explores the concepts about the French Revolution. Then there's also a link here to the reading. So the teacher is able to share the content in a variety of ways with students in order for them to make a choice about how they want to engage with that content. Do they want to watch? Do they want to listen? Do they want to read? So the mechanics of creating these scaffolds, these different options for students in the margin is very simple. You just simply use the comment tool as a teacher. Be aware that the comment tool is something that's available for teachers and students in Cami. Teachers get to determine which tools students have access to at all times. And so students can also use text comments or voice comments or video comments or even screen capture comments. So all of these different comments were created with the text comment tool. The way that you do that is by pasting in the YouTube URL into a text comment, and then the YouTube video appears here. You can see that these are both text-based comments as well. It's important to note that the voice comment also works really well. So this could be a way for teachers to be able to verbally explain instructions to students as well as have them written on the page. Again, offering that voice and choice, offering those different modalities for students to choose from as they're taking in information, even information as simple as, how do I get started doing this part of the assignment? This comment tool can also be utilized by students. So let's say that students are taking notes, or perhaps they're doing this reflection here at the bottom. And instead of typing something out, they can simply click, and then now they're recording. So they're able to record for up to 5 minutes, and they can have as many recordings as they'd like. So beyond the text comment and the voice comment, we also have video comment and screen capture. Video comment is going to be your front-facing video of your device, of your computer. So this is going to be the way that you can record the physical environment. So students in a note-taking environment might do something like having a conversation with one another, and they might decide to record that. As a teaching tool, you might utilize it to write something on your board and record yourself doing it, or be showing some other physical element in your classroom, like a map or science equipment, for example. So lots of different possibilities with the video. The video can be up to 20 minutes long, and there's no limit to how many video or voice comments you can have in a document. Then there's also the screen capture option. The screen capture option is going to be like Screencastify. So this will be your screen recording tool. So I'm going to go on down to the bottom of this document where I've got a blank page and just kind of mention that this is a wonderful way for teachers or students to be able to record their screen and maybe even solve a math problem, for example. So teachers could click and start to record their screen, and then, use something like the drawing tool. Now, it's important to note that if you're using a device that has a stylus, so perhaps you have an interactive whiteboard in your classroom, or you've got a Microsoft Surface computer that has a stylus, or some sort of tablet, that kind of thing, this is obviously done much more easily than it is with my MacBook right now. But you can absolutely record your screen. Now, this is just one example. The screen capture comment is also a really wonderful way of showing students what to do. So even showing them things like, hey, there's a dictionary tool here that you can use, and you can click on a word and you can have words defined for you, things like that. So you can show them how to use programs, how to use Kami or any other tool, because when you record your screen, you can tell it to record the entire screen, meaning that, it could be just a specific tab if you wanted, or a specific window. I usually choose entire screen, and that way I can move in and out of different tabs and different programs in order to create video for my students that will show them kind of how to work through a series of directions, for example. So let's think about now our students going through the process of doing this assignment, right? We're going to have them explore the new content, take some notes, and kind of just try to assimilate this new information into their own understanding. As we look at the right-hand side here in the margin, we've got different ways to take in that information. So the teacher, as we've said, has given the option to watch or listen or read. Let's look at the possibilities if students choose to read the information. So when they click on this, they're going to get a copy of the reading, for example. Some basic kind of granular tools to be aware of in Kami are things like the dictionary or the read aloud tool, and of course the markup tools. So the dictionary is something that kids can click on, and then they can click on any word in the reading. That word will be defined for them. And there's also a read aloud tool that's built into the dictionary. So not only the word, but also the definition can be read aloud to students. Additionally, we have a general read aloud tool as well. So students can highlight any section of text.
The French Revolution begins.
And have those words read to them. So when we think about read aloud, we often think about young students or English learners or struggling readers. And actually, read aloud will deepen comprehension for many people. So this is, interestingly enough, this is something that I didn't realize until I was getting my master's. I was always a strong reader when it came to fiction, but as I was delving into some of the meatier topics throughout, that degree program, I found myself reading aloud to myself as I read nonfiction. And it helped me kind of deepen my understanding. So one strategy to mention to students that they might not consider if they consider themselves a strong reader would be to use the read aloud tool. Listen to those words being read as well as reading them on the page at the same time. So the read aloud tool can be a wonderful way for students to just deepen their comprehension as they're exploring new information. Another strategy that they might use is to read a section of text and then use the comment tool and the voice comment to kind of paraphrase what they've read, to kind of, restate some ideas and just try to be clear and concise about what they just learned. You can put this in a way that's kind of fun. You can say to kids, you're leaving yourself an audio clip, a voicemail, if you will, as a way of just remembering the things that you just learned on this page or in that paragraph. So there's a lot of strategies and tools that are built into Kami that sometimes people don't think about as they're thinking through strategies for successful note taking and understanding of new information. Now, something that most people do think about, and just for you to be aware of, is the text highlighter, the freehand highlighter, the box highlighter. So just very quickly, our text highlighter is going to be your nice and neat way of being able to highlight a section of text. The freehand highlighter is going to be a little bit more like a marker. That's going to be reliant on your fine motor skills, but also kind of just act more like a marker in order to be able to circle things and mark up the page in a more informal way. Whereas the text highlighter is kind of that straight, perfect, line at a time kind of thing. And then the box highlighter is wonderful because this will just draw a whole box for you. So this is a way that students can, highlight a large section of information at one time. And of course, there's strike through and there's underline and there's many different colors from which to choose. So lots and lots of possibilities there for students as they're kind of working through annotating a text and taking in new information. Another option for students in Kami is graphic organizers. So when we're wanting to make sense of information, when students are looking to organize information into some kind of visual representation, they can head to the Add Media tool here at the bottom left. And from here, they can choose graphic organizers. So they could quickly and easily grab one of these graphic organizers and put it on a page. Let's head down to a blank page where we have a little bit more room. And you can see I can click on this graphic organizer, the Venn diagram, and it's just an image that's on the page, can be made larger and smaller. And then students can put text boxes on top of it in order to kind of structure information into that visual representation to make sense of it and to work through the note-taking process. Lastly, one other feature of Kami that I really want to mention is what's called feature control. So feature control is the ability for teachers to be able to control the features and tools that students find here in the toolbar on the left-hand side. So in this case, we're in this digital notebook and the teacher has left it open-ended. All of the tools are available here. However, I want you to know that at any time, if you as a teacher feel that your students would be better off not having access to all of these different tools. For example, maybe you're in an English language arts classroom or a social studies classroom and you don't need the equation editor tool, or perhaps you don't feel like kids need the drawing tool or shapes. Any of these tools can be turned off at any time. We have a whole video on how to work through feature control, and we'll share that with you. But I just want you to kind of see what it looks like. This is an example of an assignment where the toolbar has been limited by the teacher. And this will help reduce distractions for students. This will help reduce overwhelm. So, the Add Media tool is here. However, some of the different options like stickers or Microsoft OneDrive were turned off because they're superfluous. They're not needed for this particular assignment. So just be aware that you as the teacher can really help customize the learning environment for students. You can also show your students how to customize certain aspects of Kami. So for example, in the Read Aloud tool, we have the option to change the voice. This is a wonderful tool for students because they can choose the speed at which text is read to them. They can also choose the pitch. They can also change it to a different language if need be. So if there was a world languages class or multilingual learners, if they need to have those texts that are written in Spanish or French or some other language read to them, that can happen as well. So that customization is something that can happen at the student level if teachers allow it. Additionally, up in the top right, we're going to see a circle with people's initials in them. In here, you'll find things like display language and theme. So all of Kami can be changed to a different display language. If you've got students that are fluent in other languages, you can also change it over to being in a dark mode, that kind of thing, if it will help with visual fatigue for some of your students as well. So these small tweaks sometimes can be the key to making the learning environment more accessible for students, more navigable, and just overall a better learning environment for them. It's really important to empower students whenever possible to make these small tweaks, these small changes, in order to find ways for themselves to be successful. And getting them to talk about what makes them successful in any learning environment can also be really beneficial as well. So, building some of those metacognitive skills, asking students not only what they learned, but why they learned it. Why do you think you were successful as you learned about the French Revolution throughout the course of this notebook, that kind of thing. So these have just been some of the ideas that we wanted to share with you about the ways that Kami can support student learning. Please remember, if you have any questions about Kami or how your particular curriculum and pedagogy can be integrated with Kami, we are literally here to help at any time. So please just reach out. Thanks so much for watching.
All right, friends. So while my students are taking notes, doing that new learning in their notebook, I can come in as a teacher, click on the assignment here. I'm going to click on this notebook, but I'm going to move right into Edit Assignment and go into the New Learning tab, which is right here that has this set of Cornell notes. Again, students will be able to view the new learning, listen, or read. And while students are taking notes, and we can see student Steve has already started taking notes here, I can go over here as a teacher and click on the read, and that'll open up this file right here. Okay. And so what I want to do is, after students are done taking notes, doing that initial learning, that new learning, I want to know what they have learned, and I want to make it super visible to me so that way I can really reflect, customize, and personalize instruction moving forward. So here's what I can do. I can look at, again, I went into the notebook and I clicked on the template file to edit the template. I clicked on the link here in the Cornell notes, and that moved me over here into this file. Now, this was an individual link, so this is my own file. So I want to generate questions and then have Kami generate those questions to where I can go ahead and push these questions out to all of the students once they're done taking notes. So I want the data, right? And so what I can do is I can look at this page right here, click on the question tool, and that will give me this side panel over here where I can convert, generate, or create questions from scratch. I want to select generate, select the grade level, perhaps the language that I want the questions in, do the page range. So this is pages 1, 2, 3. We'll just do pages 1 through 3 here. I can select the amount of questions. So maybe I want 4 multiple choice questions. In the advanced settings, I can select this to be at grade level, above grade level, below grade level. I can also set this where I want it on the depth of knowledge on the DOK. So do you want maybe just recall right now, because this is their first time diving in, they're taking notes, they're watching a video, they're listening to a podcast. And then I'm going to go ahead and select generate questions. Give that a few seconds here, about 30 seconds, and then those questions will be presented to me right here on the side panel. Nice. The questions are here. I can go ahead and view each question, making sure that they're correct, making sure that they are something that is going to work. So what I can do is I can click on each question here. I can edit if I'd like. I think these are all going to work though. So here's the thing. These questions are connected to this file. I want these questions to move over and get connected into a new tab into this file. So the template file, this is the one that's communicating to the Google Classroom notebook, to the actual assignment. So here's what I can do. I can quickly move these questions over into a different Kami environment by going over to each question and hitting the little filing cabinet icon at the top of each question. So this is adding a question to our annotation bank. I can click on that, select confirm, scroll down, do that for each question that I want to grab. And so now all of these questions are going to be in my annotation bank. So when I go over to my notebook here within this template file, I should be able to go and select annotation bank at the top left. It's the same filing cabinet icon right here. And you can see all the annotations that I have banked, whether they're graphics, images, feedback, whatever the case is. I'm going to scroll down to the bottom here and see all the questions now that are in my annotation bank. So these are all questions that I just banked in this file, but now they're over here. I can very quickly drag and drop these questions onto the Cornell Notes page. Each one of them. And now they are here on this document ready to get pushed out. I could leave these questions here, but maybe students will get confused by having the questions on the side panel if they're in a different part of the notebook. So what I can do is I can quickly drag and drop these questions onto the page, turn them into a marker, and have them rest right. I like having these right off of the questions little box here of the Cornell Notes because I want students to be able to ask their own questions here, but leaving these markers on like where the purple is here, I think that is a nice fit. I'm going to go ahead and do that for all of these. I'm going to go ahead and do that for all of these. I can also click on the annotation bank here to tuck all of that away, give it a cleaner look here for me. And now students, while students are taking notes, I'm building out these questions. They're now here. And from this template file, I can go up to, now that the questions are here, I can go up to update all, update. And then now all of these questions are going to go out to all of my students. So every single student notebook, every single copy is going to receive these questions. So student Steve might be taking notes, they might be documenting stuff, right? But now he sees the questions right here. I can click as a student now on each marker, and then the student sees the question bordered like that purple border. I also have a read aloud option, so I can have the question be read back to me. So what I can do is I can have my students then answer the questions. And for me, it's all about do the initial learning. You decide how you're going to learn, and then quickly you show me what you know, to not punish students, but then have students reflect on the data once I return this data back to them. So student Steve just marked these selections. As a teacher, from this template copy, I can go up and click on this little pink toggle icon because that's going to move me into class view. So now that I'm in class view, what I really want is to go and select answers at the top. When I select answers, this is where all the data is going to be. So right now, only student Steve has completed the questions. So I can go over, look at student Steve's work, right? Look at how he's doing with the questions. Maybe perhaps, I can go over and nudge student Steve, maybe go over to his desk, or I can drop in feedback right here, right into Kami. But it gives me that visibility of how students did. And so if the students then they go over and I tell them like, hey, go ahead and turn in your notebook, hit turn in. As a teacher, I then can go ahead and return these scores back to them or return all. In this case, I'm just going to go and hit return. Now, mind you, this got auto graded. So I know the points are a little wonky here in this particular setup, but the scores will generate for me. I can return this. And the reason why I want to return it is to have the data visible to the students. So data is not just for the teacher, in my opinion, it is for the students. And so now when I go over, I then see all the data visible to me, where I went wrong, maybe which ones I got right. And what I would do is I would have my students, even instead of doing a summary at the bottom of the Cornell notes, do the actual reflection, the metacognition, the how did it go? How did you do on these questions? And what can I do as your teacher to do it better next time? Rinse and repeat, making it feel like a community. And also, it's that general reflection of, if I were to do this again, what would I do differently? How would I take notes differently? Would I use audio comments more? Would I use, text to speech, speech to text? How would I be documenting this content? And maybe next time I don't do a read, maybe I do a listen, right? And having students really reflect on how they're picking the types of choices and how they're really navigating those choices that they now have in the classroom.
Hey there, Avra here with Cami. So did you know that Cami has something called feature control? What's feature control? Well, it's the perfect way for teachers to control the digital learning environment for students. So basically what it does is it allows teachers to choose which tools students have access to for each and every activity they do. So that means that if you want students to only have the drawing tool, only have the text box tool, or if you want to encourage them to respond verbally, they can have the voice comment. Whichever tools you as the teacher want your students to have access to, you can choose that. You can do that with a collaborative activity. You can do it with an individual activity that you push through your learning management system. It reduces overwhelm, distractions, and is just an awesome way for you to help students succeed using Cami. Let's take a look at the possibilities. First, let's take a look at feature control as we're creating a collaborative activity for students. Let's use this share a photo of your favorite book activity as an example. Let's say that the teacher just wants to give students the option to be able to take a picture of their favorite book. And that's the only Cami tool that they really want students to have. What they can do is head up to the top right corner to the purple share button. They'll click here, and then they'll need to change the sharing settings to anyone with the link is an editor. This is how you begin to set up a collaborative activity. Then feature control is this button right next to the word editor. Let's click feature control to go in and take a look at all of the different tools in Cami. Each tool or feature in Cami has a checkbox next to it, and teachers can check or uncheck the boxes in order to select or deselect the tools. Be aware also that there is an all on and all off feature at the top. This can be a nice way to make sure that you don't inadvertently leave any tools on that you wish to turn off. As a teacher, I always choose all off, and then I go in and just select the tools that I want my students to use. This helps reduce overwhelm and distraction. So in this case, we want students to be able to take a picture with the camera. So by clicking Take Picture, that will be the only tool besides the Select tool. The Select tool is something I always give to students. This is the mouse or the pointer. This helps you move things around on the screen, so it's very important. That's all we need to do to set up this collaborative activity for right now. We'll take a look at these other options a little later in the video. I'm going to go down to the bottom of this box and choose OK. Now, I can take this link and share it with my students in the learning management system that I use. Let's take a look at what students will see when we share that link with them. I'm going to slide over to the student view. If you'll notice, right here is the select tool that we've given them, as well as the add media tool. They can use the add media tool and the camera to take a picture of their book. Now they can drop it on the page. They can now resize the image. And depending on the student's age, as well as their comfort level with technology, they could even double click on the picture in order to use the cropping tools. Now, let's go back over to the teacher view. Let's say that the teacher has decided that he or she wants to get some more information from students about why they loved this book. So perhaps they want to go back up to the share button, go back to feature control, and now give them access to the text box tool or the voice comment and ask students to further explain why this was their favorite book. So we'll go ahead and hit OK and close out of that box. And then let's slide back over to the student view. Take a look. Instantaneously, without even needing to refresh or reload the page, students now have access to these additional tools. So they could go to the comment tool, use the voice comment, and then record a brief description of what made this their favorite book. This is how you can set up collaborative activities and at any time change the features or tools that students can access during the activity. As teachers are creating individual assignments in each of the learning management systems, feature control can be found in these environments as well. Teachers can simply check the box here in Google Classroom to head in to feature control. Besides the list of all of the different features in the toolbar, there's also a list of support features that teachers can turn on and off. By default, they are all on. But if you'll notice, functionality such as copy and paste can be turned on and off. So if teachers are concerned about students copying information from another tab or website and pasting it into their assignment in Kami, they can simply uncheck this box and copy and paste won't be possible. Additional support features such as spell check, the ability to add pages, voice typing, and closed captions in all media can be turned on and off as well. In the Canvas environment, teachers will also find feature control here. And in the Schoology environment, you'll also see feature control here. It's important to note that this also exists in Microsoft Teams. Another fabulous aspect of feature control is that just like in a collaborative activity, even if teachers have already distributed an activity out to their students and all of the students are currently working on an assignment, teachers still have the access to be able to change the feature control in the assignment. Let's take a look. I'm going to head here to this interactive notebook and click where it says Open with Kami. In this environment, we will see the class view. This will show every single assignment, and this is live. Students are working and teachers can check out what they're doing and monitor their progress, check for understanding, give feedback, and of course, change the feature control. Teachers can simply head to this icon here for the assignment settings. We can click and choose feature control. This opens the feature control again. And if, for example, students are inappropriately using the Google image search or the YouTube options, those can be turned off. With the click of a button, students now don't have access to those tools. They don't have to refresh or reload their page at all. One last note about feature control. If you notice at the very bottom of the page, there's an option that says Remember Options. So, if as a teacher you find yourself using the same 5 or 6 tools for most of your assignments, you can select those tools and then go down and make sure that that box Remember Options is checked. Then, by default, those will be the options that show up on the next assignment. You can always make changes to that, but that will just streamline your workflow a little bit as you decide which tools in Kami your students have access to. If you have any questions regarding feature control or anything in Kami, we hope you won't hesitate to reach out to us. Thanks so much for watching.